My name is Cyrus Bennett, and I'm 67 years old. I raised 2 children, mostly alone, after my wife Diane died when they were teenagers. My daughter Lauren is 38 now, married to a man named Brad, with 2 kids of their own. My son Marcus is 35, single, living 3 states away, and maintaining just enough contact to avoid feeling guilty about his absence. The text message arrived on Wednesday, November 22nd at 9:47 p.m. I was sitting in my recliner watching the evening news, looking forward to Thanksgiving the next day, looking forward to seeing my grandchildren, to Lauren's cooking, to feeling like part of a family for one day out of the year. My phone buzzed. A message in the family group chat that Lauren had created 2 years ago, the one she used to coordinate holidays and send photos of the kids. The message was from Lauren. "Dad, I need to be honest with you. Brad and I have been talking, and we think maybe you should skip Thanksgiving this year." I stared at that message, reading it 3 times, trying to make sense of the words. Skip Thanksgiving. My daughter was uninviting me from Thanksgiving. 3 dots appeared, indicating someone else was typing. Then Brad's message. "Yeah, Cy, no offense, man, but you kind of bring down the holiday vibe every year. You're always so quiet and serious. We want this year to be more upbeat, you know?" Then from Lauren again. "It's not that we don't love you, Dad. We just think the energy would be better if it was just us and Brad's family this year. You understand, right?" I sat there in my recliner, the TV still playing, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Not just hurt, though that was there, sharp and immediate, but something else. Clarity. The sudden understanding that I'd been fooling myself about what my relationship with my daughter actually was. Another message, this time from Brad's mother, Patricia. "We all just want a fun, lighthearted celebration. Hope you understand, Cyrus." Followed by laughing emojis from Lauren. My daughter had laughed, had sent laughing emojis in response to her mother-in-law's cheerful message about excluding me from Thanksgiving because I was, what had Brad said? Depressing the holiday vibe. I looked at my phone for a long moment, at the family group chat where I was being casually discarded like an unwanted piece of furniture. No one defending me, no one saying, "That's too harsh," or "Maybe we should reconsider." Just agreement that yes, Grandpa Cyrus was a downer, and the holidays would be better without him. I typed a response, my fingers steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. "I understand. Enjoy your celebration." Lauren replied immediately. "Thanks for being cool about this, Dad. We'll make it up to you later." Make it up to me. As if being excluded from Thanksgiving was something that could be made up with a makeup dinner or a phone call. I set my phone down and sat in the quiet of my living room, thinking about all the ways I'd supported Lauren over the years, all the times I'd been there when she needed something, all the silent and visible support I'd provided, because that's what fathers do. And I thought about one particular detail that Lauren and Brad seemed to have forgotten. I was the one paying their car insurance, not just contributing, not just helping out, paying it entirely, all $327 monthly. For their 2021 Chevrolet Tahoe, the massive SUV that Brad insisted they needed for family safety and weekend adventures, the one with the $847 monthly loan payment they barely managed to cover. Before we continue, like, subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Tell me your city or country below. I love seeing where everyone's watching from. I'd been paying their insurance for 3 years, ever since Brad had gotten 2 speeding tickets in 6 months and their premium had skyrocketed to over $400. They'd called me in a panic, said they couldn't afford it, asked if I could help just until Brad's driving record improved. 3 years later, I was still paying, and not just the insurance, I'd also co-signed their auto loan when their credit wasn't quite good enough. I'd paid for new tires last spring when theirs were bald and dangerous. I'd covered the $1,870 repair bill 2 months ago when their transmission started acting up. The Tahoe that Brad loved so much, that he detailed every weekend and posted photos of on social media, the one he'd just installed a fancy new sound system in, that vehicle existed in their lives because of me. And apparently, my reward for making their life easier was being told I was depressing and unwelcome at family holidays. I picked up my phone and opened my insurance app. Found the policy for the Tahoe. The next payment was due tomorrow. Thanksgiving Day, actually. The automatic payment was scheduled to process at midnight. I looked at that payment, at the $327 that would soon transfer from my account to theirs, maintaining their coverage for another month while they enjoyed their upbeat, lighthearted Thanksgiving without the depressing father who made it all possible. And I made a decision. I clicked Manage Policy, then Cancel Coverage. A warning popped up. "Are you sure you want to cancel this policy? Coverage will end immediately." I clicked Confirm. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months. Act 1. The Years of Being Invisible. I need to explain something about my relationship with Lauren, because what I'm about to tell you might seem extreme without context, but everything that happened was the culmination of years of being treated as a convenient resource rather than a father. Lauren had always been the difficult child. Not in obvious ways, she wasn't rebellious or troubled, but she'd developed a sense of entitlement early on, a belief that the world owed her things simply because she existed. Diane and I had tried to correct it when she was young, but after Diane died when Lauren was 15, I'd struggled to maintain discipline while also trying to be both mother and father to grieving teenagers. I'd overcompensated, had been too soft, too permissive, too quick to give her what she wanted to make up for the parent she'd lost. By the time Lauren was in college, the pattern was set. She wanted something, I provided it, and she accepted it as her due without much gratitude. Diane's death had devastated all of us. She'd been only 43, vibrant and healthy until the cancer diagnosis that took her in 8 brutal months. I'd watched my wife waste away while trying to shield our children from the worst of it. After she died, I'd thrown myself into being the parent she couldn't be anymore, trying to fill the void she'd left. For Marcus, that had worked reasonably well. He'd grieved, struggled, but eventually found his footing. He'd gone to state university on scholarships, worked part-time jobs to cover his expenses, graduated with minimal debt, and built a life for himself 3 states away. He called every Sunday, visited twice a year, maintained a real relationship that didn't revolve around needing things from me. But Lauren was different. She'd taken her mother's death harder, or at least she'd used it more effectively as an excuse for why life should be easier for her. Every time I'd tried to establish boundaries or expectations, she'd cry and say she was still dealing with losing Mom, that I didn't understand how hard it was for her, and I'd cave every single time. After college, she'd moved back home temporarily while she job hunted. Temporary became 2 years. She'd paid no rent, contributed nothing to household expenses, treated my home like a hotel with maid service. Her bedroom became a disaster of clothes and takeout containers and Amazon boxes. When I'd asked her to clean up or help with chores, she'd get defensive. "Dad, I'm trying to find a job. I'm stressed. Can you just give me some space?" So I'd given her space. I'd cleaned her room myself, done her laundry, made her meals, enabled her to be 24 years old and living like she was still a child. When I'd finally, gently suggested that maybe she should start looking for her own place, that 2 years was a long time to be living at home, she'd burst into tears. "I can't believe you're kicking me out. I thought you loved me. I thought after losing Mom, we'd stick together. But you just want me gone." I'd backpedaled immediately, assured her she could stay as long as she needed, felt guilty for even bringing it up. That's when she met Brad. He'd been charming at first, good-looking in that generic way some people are, always had a joke ready, knew how to make Lauren laugh. He worked in sales for a medical supply company, made decent money when he was motivated, and seemed to genuinely care about Lauren. Their courtship was whirlwind. They'd met in March, been engaged by July, married by the following February. I'd been relieved, honestly, thinking that maybe marriage would help Lauren finally grow up, finally take responsibility for herself. I should have seen the warning signs earlier, like when Brad had come to ask for my blessing before proposing. He'd sat in my living room, beer in hand, and said, "Cy, I love your daughter. I want to take care of her, but I'm going to be honest with you. Weddings are expensive as hell. Lauren's got her heart set on this venue that costs like 15 grand just for the space. Her mom not being here, it's important to her that the day is special. I was hoping maybe you could help out with costs. Father of the bride tradition and all that." I'd agreed to pay for half the wedding. Brad's parents, he assured me, would cover the other half. We settled on a budget of $36,000 total, more than I was comfortable with, but Lauren had lost her mother, and I wanted her wedding day to be beautiful. The budget immediately got out of control. Lauren wanted upgrades on everything: better flowers, premium open bar, designer dress, professional videographer on top of photographer, a live band instead of a DJ. Every time I questioned a cost, she'd cry. "Dad, this is my wedding, my one wedding. Mom's not here to help me plan it or see me get married. Can't you just let me have this one thing?" So I'd approved the upgrades. And when Brad's parents backed out of their half 2 months before the wedding, some financial emergency they couldn't get around, I'd covered their share too, rather than force Lauren to downgrade everything. Total wedding cost, $47,000. I'd paid $43,000 of it after Brad's parents contributed a paltry $4,000 to help out. At the wedding, Brad's father had given a toast thanking everyone who'd made the beautiful day possible, specifically praising his wife for her planning help and taste. No mention of me or the $43,000 I'd spent. When I'd mentioned it to Lauren later, she'd waved it off. "Dad, everyone knows the bride's family pays for the wedding. You don't need public credit for doing what's expected." expected, as if bankrupting myself for her wedding was just what fathers were supposed to do without acknowledgement. After the wedding, they'd moved into a small apartment. Within 6 months, the requests started. Could I help with their security deposit on a bigger place? They needed room for when they started a family. I'd sent $3,200. Could I help with furniture? Their apartment looked so empty, and they wanted to host family gatherings. I'd sent $12,500. Could I co-sign their first car loan? They needed reliable transportation, but their credit wasn't quite good enough on its own. I'd co-signed, making myself legally responsible for the $28,000 loan. Each time, the request came with justification about how they were young and still getting established, how expensive everything was, how they'd pay me back once things stabilized. They never paid me back. Not once. Then came Tyler, their first child. I'd been at the hospital when he was born, had held my grandson in the first hour of his life, had felt my heart expand with a love I'd forgotten was possible after losing Diane. We're going to need help, Lauren had told me from her hospital bed, exhausted from labor but already planning. Daycare is like $1,500 a month. We can't afford that and our apartment. Can you help? I'd helped. For 18 months, I'd covered half their daycare costs, $750 monthly, while they got their finances in order. Then Emma came along 5 years ago. More daycare costs. More temporary help that became permanent. The requests were constant and varied. Car repairs they couldn't afford, medical bills insurance didn't fully cover, Tyler's preschool tuition at the good school, Emma's speech therapy, new furniture when their old couch finally gave out, a new laptop when Brad's crashed right before a big presentation. Every single time, I'd helped. Because they were my family. Because Tyler and Emma were my grandchildren. Because I was terrified that if I said no, Lauren would cut me off from seeing the kids. 3 years ago came the insurance crisis. Brad had gotten his second speeding ticket in 6 months. First one was 15 over, second one was 22 over on a residential street. Their insurance company sent a renewal notice, $423 per month. Brad had called me. His voice panicked in that way he got when money was involved. Cy, we're completely screwed. We can't afford this. We're already stretched thin with the mortgage and daycare and everything. The insurance alone would be like $5,000 a year. Can you help us out? Just until my driving record improves, it'll drop back down in a year when the tickets fall off. I should have said no. Should have told him that maybe he needed to drive more carefully. Should have suggested they get a cheaper car with lower insurance costs. Instead, I'd said yes. I'd set up the policy in my name with them as listed drivers, agreed to pay the monthly premium temporarily while they got caught up on other bills. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of $320 monthly. 3 years of no acknowledgement. 3 years where the temporary help became permanent expectation. The tickets never fell off Brad's record because he kept getting new ones. Nothing major, just the kind of careless, entitled driving that comes from someone who doesn't think rules apply to him. Rolling through stop signs, speeding in school zones, illegal U-turns. Each one was small enough not to matter individually, but collectively kept his insurance high. And I kept paying, month after month, year after year, because I was afraid of what would happen if I stopped. The pattern was clear. I provided financial support. They accepted it without gratitude. And any attempt to suggest they work toward independence was met with guilt trips about how hard their life was, how I didn't understand modern economics, how they were doing their best. But the worst part wasn't even the money, though that was substantial. By my calculation, I'd provided them with wedding, $43,000 apartment deposits and moving costs, $5,400 furniture and household items, $4,200 car loan co-signing, my credit risk, $28,000 outstanding car insurance, 3 years, $11,772 to car repairs and maintenance, $2,700 daycare assistance, 2.5 years, $22,500 medical and dental expenses, $3,400, emergency loans never repaid, $14,000 Christmas and birthday gifts, $8,000 total, over $142,000 in 13 years, $142,000. More than 2 years of my salary before I retired, money that could have gone toward my retirement, toward travel, toward anything that would have enriched my life instead of funding theirs. But worse than the money was the attitude, the complete lack of appreciation or acknowledgement, the way they'd let Brad's parents think they were self-sufficient, the way they'd post on social media about their accomplishments and lovely home without ever mentioning the father who made it all possible. Like 6 months ago when I'd come over for dinner, they'd invited me, a rare occurrence, and I'd been looking forward to it, seeing the grandkids, having a family meal, feeling like I belonged. The apartment was even more impressive than my last visit. New furniture, new art on the walls, a massive TV I hadn't seen before. Everything looked like it belonged in an interior design magazine. "This is beautiful," I'd said, genuinely impressed despite knowing I'd probably funded most of it. "Thanks," Lauren had beamed. "We've been really working on making this place a home. It's important to invest in quality, you know? Cheap stuff just falls apart." Invest, as if they'd paid for any of it themselves. Brad's parents were there, Patricia and Donald, who I'd met a handful of times over the years. Patricia was one of those women who made her wealth very known, always dressed in obvious designer clothes, always mentioning their country club membership or their latest vacation. During dinner, the conversation had turned to finances. Patricia had been bragging about some investment property they'd bought, how smart they'd been with their money, how important it was to teach the younger generation about fiscal responsibility. "Brad and Lauren are doing so well," Patricia had said, smiling at them with obvious pride. "You must be so proud, Cyrus. They've built such a lovely life, such a beautiful home. And with 2 children. It's not easy these days." I'd looked at Lauren, waiting for her to say something, waiting for her to acknowledge that actually a lot of this lifestyle was possible because of her father's support. She'd just smiled and said, "Thanks, Patricia. We've worked really hard." Brad had added, "Yeah, it hasn't been easy, but we've made smart choices, prioritized the right things." Smart choices. The right things. No mention of the hundreds of thousands I'd given them. No acknowledgement that their hard work was subsidized entirely by me. I'd sat there at that dinner table, watching them accept praise for a life they hadn't actually paid for, and I'd felt invisible, less than invisible, erased. As if my contributions didn't exist, as if the money just materialized from nowhere. After dinner, as I was leaving, I'd tried to talk to Lauren privately in the hallway. "Honey, can we talk about the financial arrangement we have?" Her face had immediately gone blank. "Dad, not now. We have guests." "When then? It's been 3 years on the insurance alone. I'm not trying to be difficult, but when do you think you'll be able to start covering your own expenses?" "I don't know. God, why are you pressuring me about this? I thought you wanted to help. I thought you cared about your grandchildren having a nice life." "I do care. But Lauren, you're 38 years old. At some point, you have to be able to support yourself." "At some point? Dad, I have a job. Brad has a job. We're not sitting around doing nothing. But everything is expensive. Daycare alone is $1,800 a month. The mortgage is $2,400. Car payment, insurance, utilities, food, kids' activities, it all adds up. We're doing the best we can." "I'm not saying you're not trying. I'm just asking when. You know what? If my success bothers you so much, if helping your daughter and grandchildren is such a burden, then maybe you should just stop. Maybe we'll figure it out ourselves. Is that what you want?" The guilt trip had worked perfectly. I'd backpedaled immediately, assured her I didn't mean it that way, apologized for bringing up an uncomfortable subject. That was the pattern, perfected over years. I'd question the arrangement. Lauren would make me feel guilty for questioning it. I'd apologize and continue enabling. Until last Wednesday night. Until that text message that made everything crystal clear. You bring down the holiday vibe. Peaceful celebrations, finally. The laughing emojis. In that moment, reading those messages, I'd finally understood what I was to them. Not a father, not family, just a resource to be used when convenient and discarded when not. The ATM that was depressing the party. And once I saw that truth clearly, I couldn't unsee it. Last Christmas, I'd driven 2 hours to their house for dinner. I'd brought presents for the kids. Thoughtful gifts I'd spent time selecting. Not expensive, but chosen with care. Tyler got a telescope because he'd mentioned he liked looking at stars. Emma got an art set because Lauren had said she was interested in drawing. Brad's parents had shown up with elaborate, expensive gifts. A PlayStation 5 for Tyler, an American Girl doll with full accessories for Emma. The kids had barely glanced at my presents before abandoning them for the flashier options. Later, I'd overheard Brad talking to his father in the kitchen. "Yeah, Cy means well, but he just doesn't get what kids actually want these days. He's so out of touch." Out of touch. The man paying their car insurance was out of touch. At dinner, I'd been seated at the far end of the table, next to Emma's high chair, while Brad's parents got the seats of honor near Lauren and Brad. The conversation had flowed around me without including me. When I'd tried to contribute, to mention something about my week, or ask about Lauren's new job, I'd been met with polite nods before the conversation immediately shifted to something else. I'd left early, claiming I was tired. No one had tried to convince me to stay. That was 6 months ago. Since then, interactions with Lauren had been minimal. Occasional texts about the kids, brief phone calls that felt obligatory rather than wanted. I'd seen Tyler and Emma 3 times in 6 months, always at my initiative, always feeling like I was imposing on Lauren's time. And now this. Uninvited from Thanksgiving because I was depressing the holiday vibe. I'd spent Wednesday evening going through my bank statements, calculating exactly how much I'd supported Lauren and Brad over the years. The numbers were staggering. Wedding, $31,000 car insurance, 3 years, $11,572 car repairs, $1,870 tires, a $890 various emergencies, approximately $8,000 gifts for grandchildren, approximately $3,500 loans never repaid, $12,000 total, nearly $70,000 over 9 years, $70,000, and my reward was being told I brought down the vibe. I looked at those numbers and felt something shift inside me. Not anger, exactly, more like exhaustion. The tired realization that I'd been enabling this treatment for years, that my generosity had been interpreted as obligation, that my love had been taken for weakness. So when I canceled their insurance Wednesday night, I didn't feel guilty. I felt clear-headed, certain that it was time for Lauren and Brad to experience what their life looked like without their depressing, vibe-killing father subsidizing it. Act 2. Thanksgiving morning. I woke up Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m., which is my normal time. Made coffee, scrambled some eggs, ate breakfast while reading the newspaper. Outside my window, the neighborhood was quiet, most people still sleeping before their holiday preparations began. Around 7 a.m., I checked my phone. There was a new photo in the family group chat posted by Lauren at 6:47 a.m., a picture of their dining room table, beautifully decorated with fall-themed centerpieces, fancy place settings, candles, the works. The caption read, "Peaceful celebrations this year, finally. Peaceful, finally." As if my presence had been disturbing their peace. As if excluding their father was something to celebrate. I stared at that photo for a long moment, at the carefully curated perfection of it, at the implied message that things were better without me, and I felt no regret about what I'd done. Around 7:45 a.m., I made myself a second cup of coffee and turned on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'd watched it every year since I was a child, a tradition I'd shared with Diane, then with our kids, and had continued alone after everyone else had moved on to more important things. At 7:58 a.m., my phone started ringing. Lauren's number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. I ignored it. A text message appeared. "Dad, call me now, emergency." I took a sip of my coffee and watched a giant Snoopy balloon float down the New York street on my TV. Another call. Another voicemail. Then a text from Brad. "CY, what the fuck did you do?" I smiled. They'd figured it out. At 8:03 a.m., a longer message from Lauren. "Dad, there's a tow truck in our driveway. They're saying our insurance was canceled. They're taking the Tahoe. What's going on? Call me!" I could picture it perfectly. Brad rushing outside in his pajamas, maybe still holding his morning coffee, watching as a tow truck backed into their driveway. The driver, professional and unmoved by their panic, explaining that the vehicle was being impounded due to lapsed insurance and the outstanding auto loan that required continuous coverage as a condition of financing. The neighbors watching from their windows, Brad's parents, probably staying overnight for the holiday, coming outside to see what the commotion was about. Tyler and Emma, confused and upset, watching their father's pride and joy being lifted onto the back of a truck, and all of it happening at 8 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning, 2 hours before the turkey was supposed to go in the oven, right in the middle of their peaceful, vibe-positive celebration. My phone was ringing constantly now, call after call after call. I turned off the ringer and went back to watching the parade. Around 8:30 a.m., I finally checked the accumulating messages. From Lauren, 8:04 a.m. "Dad, please, this isn't funny. They're taking our car. We need it to pick up Mom and Dad's groceries. Call me back." From Brad, 8:07 a.m. "Cy, I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to fix this right now. We have 12 people coming for dinner." From Lauren, 8:11 a.m. "The tow truck driver says you canceled the insurance. Why would you do that? What's wrong with you?" From Brad, 8:15 a.m. "The truck is gone. They took it to some impound lot on the other side of town. This is insane. Call us." From Patricia, Brad's mother, 8:23 a.m. "Cyrus, I don't know what's going on, but Brad and Lauren are very upset. Please call them and sort this out. This is Thanksgiving." I typed a single response, sent it to the group chat where they'd uninvited me. "Thanksgiving is for positive vibes, remember? Hope you enjoy the peace." Then I muted the entire conversation and went back to my parade. Act 3. The Desperate Hours. For the next 2 hours, my phone buzzed relentlessly with calls and messages I didn't answer. I'd glance at it occasionally, reading the increasingly desperate and angry messages, watching the progression from confusion to fury to genuine panic. The messages came in waves, each one revealing more about how their Thanksgiving was unraveling. From Lauren, 12:15 p.m. Guests are starting to arrive and they're asking where our car is. What do I tell them? That my father had it towed? From Brad, 12:34 p.m. This is the most humiliating Thanksgiving of my life. My uncle just offered to loan us money for a new car. Do you know how that feels? From Patricia, 12:58 p.m. Cyrus, I spoke with Brad and Lauren about the insurance situation. I had no idea you'd been supporting them to this extent. That changes my perspective considerably. However, I still think leaving them without transportation on a major holiday is excessive. From Lauren, 1:23 p.m. Dinner is a disaster. Everyone's uncomfortable. People keep asking questions. Brad's mom is giving us disapproving looks. Tyler asked loudly why Grandpa Cyrus wasn't here and I didn't know what to say. I hope you're happy. Happy. No, I wasn't happy. I was sad that it had come to this. Sad that my daughter valued me so little that excluding me seemed reasonable. Sad that it took a towed vehicle for anyone to acknowledge the extent of my support. But I was also resolute, clear-headed, certain that this needed to happen. From Brad, 2:07 p.m. Fine. You win. What do you want? Money? Groveling? What are your terms? From Lauren, 2:45 p.m. Dinner is over. Everyone left early. It was awful. Patricia lectured us about financial responsibility in front of everyone. Brad's uncle offered to co-sign a new car loan, since clearly we need better family support. I've never been so embarrassed. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for ruining everything. Ruining everything. I'd ruined everything by finally saying no. Not them for taking advantage of me for years. Not them for uninviting me cruelly. Me for establishing a boundary. From Brad, 3:18 p.m. Just so you know, we're telling everyone what you did, how you sabotaged Thanksgiving, how you're holding our car hostage. Everyone's going to know what kind of person you really are. Let them tell everyone. Let them explain how they'd never paid their own insurance. Let them explain how they'd uninvited me. Let them explain the full context instead of just painting me as the villain. The messages continued into the evening. From Lauren, 5:42 p.m. I can't stop crying. This was supposed to be a beautiful day. Our first Thanksgiving in the new apartment. Everything perfect. And you destroyed it. From Brad, 7:01 p.m. Monday. You said Monday you'd sign for the car. That's 3 days. 3 days without transportation. How are we supposed to manage? From Lauren, 8:34 p.m. Tyler keeps asking why you weren't at Thanksgiving. I told him you were sick. I can't tell an 8-year-old that his grandfather is punishing us. What am I supposed to say? Friday morning brought a new wave of desperation. Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year, and they had no car. From Lauren, 6:18 a.m. Dad, I have to work today. Black Friday is mandatory for retail. I need the car, please. From Brad, 7:33 a.m. Lauren's taking an Uber to work. $23 each way. That's $46 just for her to get to her job. This is costing us money we don't have. From Lauren, 8:45 a.m. I got written up for being 20 minutes late. The Uber hit traffic. My boss says one more incident and I'm fired. You're jeopardizing my job, my income. How is that fair? Fair. Life wasn't fair. I'd learned that when Diane died at 43, when I'd had to raise 2 teenagers alone while grieving my wife, when I'd spent $142,000 supporting my daughter and been rewarded with being called depressing. From Brad, 10:12 a.m. We need to go grocery shopping. We're out of everything. The Uber to the store is going to be $15 each way. How long are you planning to keep this up? From Lauren, 11:37 a.m. Emma has a birthday party this afternoon. We already RSVP'd. We can't get there without a car. Now I have to text the mom and make excuses. This is affecting your grandchildren's social lives. The messages Friday were relentless. Every inconvenience, every expense, every embarrassment was cataloged and sent to me as evidence of my cruelty. Saturday brought more of the same. From Brad, 7:02 a.m. Tyler has hockey practice. It's 40 minutes away. The Uber would cost $80 round trip. We're skipping it. He's devastated. Hope you're proud. From Lauren, 9:28 a.m. We've spent $247 on Ubers since Thursday, and $247. That's money that should have gone to bills, to the kids. You're costing us financially. From Patricia, 11:15 a.m. Cyrus, I've thought a lot about this situation. While I understand you're upset about being uninvited, I think your response is disproportionate. 3 days without a vehicle is punishment, not a lesson. Please reconsider. From Brad, 2:43 p.m. Just got off the phone with the impound lot. They're charging $45 per day storage. That's $135 so far, plus the $385 initial impound fee. We're going to owe over $500 by Monday. You're costing us money we don't have. From Lauren, 4:56 p.m. I miss you, Dad. I miss how things used to be. Can we please just fix this? I'll apologize properly. We'll figure out the insurance. Just please end this. That message almost broke me. The vulnerability in it, the acknowledgement that things were broken, the hint of genuine remorse. But then I remembered peaceful celebrations, finally. The laughing emojis. The years of taking me for granted. Sunday afternoon, Marcus called. Dad, Lauren's been calling me nonstop. She's a mess. Did she tell you what happened? She told me her version, that you canceled their insurance and got their car impounded on Thanksgiving because they uninvited you. And I told her that while your method was extreme, I understood why you did it. She didn't like that answer. I imagine not. Dad, look, I support you, but you've made your point. The car's been gone for 3 days. They've spent hundreds on Ubers. Lauren's boss is threatening to fire her. Maybe it's time to let them have it back? Tomorrow morning, I'll sign for the release, but the insurance situation doesn't change. They pay their own from now on. Have they agreed to that? They will. They don't have a choice. After we hung up, I felt the weight of what I'd done. 3 days of their car being impounded. 3 days of inconvenience and embarrassment and financial strain. 3 days of them finally understanding what it meant to lose something they'd taken for granted. Had I been too harsh? Maybe. But how else would they have learned? Sunday evening brought one final message from Lauren. Dad, tomorrow's Monday. You said you'd sign for the car tomorrow. We got our own insurance policy. It's $447 a month. Way more than we can afford. But we did it. We're taking responsibility. Please, can we start over? From Lauren, 8:47 a.m. Dad, we just called the impound lot. They said they can't release the vehicle without proof of insurance and the primary account holder's authorization. That's you. You need to come down there and sign for it. From Brad, 9:03 a.m. Cy, this is beyond petty. You're ruining Thanksgiving over some stupid group chat message? Grow the fuck up and fix this. From Lauren, 9:15 a.m. Mom is crying. The kids are upset. We can't get to the store to pick up the turkey. Brad's parents spent $400 on food that's still at Whole Foods. Please, Dad, please fix this. From Brad, 9:28 a.m. Fine. You want an apology? I'm sorry. Lauren's sorry. We shouldn't have uninvited you. Happy? Now come sign for the car. Too little. Too late. And not even sincere. Brad wasn't sorry. He was inconvenienced. From Lauren, 9:45 a.m. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe my own father would be this cruel. On Thanksgiving of all days. What kind of person are you? What kind of person was I? I was the person who'd paid $327 monthly for 3 years so they could drive that Tahoe. The person who'd covered $1,870 in repairs. The person who'd given them $70,000 over 9 years and been rewarded with being called depressing and uninvited from family holidays. From Brad, 10:12 a.m. The Uber to Whole Foods just cost us $67 round trip, a $67 Uber CR. You're going to reimburse that, right? I actually laughed out loud at that one. The audacity of demanding I reimburse them for an Uber after they'd uninvited me from Thanksgiving. From Patricia, 10:34 a.m. Cyrus, this behavior is unacceptable. Whatever your issues with Brad and Lauren, you don't punish the whole family. You're affecting everyone's holiday. Please be the bigger person. Be the bigger person. As if I hadn't been the bigger person for years, quietly supporting them while they treated me like an embarrassing obligation. From Lauren, 11:02 a.m. We just got back from Whole Foods, had to carry $400 worth of groceries on foot because the Uber was too expensive for a second trip. My back is killing me. Brad's dad had to help carry everything. This is humiliating. I hope you're happy. From Brad, 11:37 a.m. Lauren's sister just called asking why we don't have a car. Word is getting out that something's wrong. This is embarrassing us in front of the whole family. What do you want from us? What do you want? What did I want? I wanted them to understand that actions have consequences, that you can't treat people like disposable resources and expect continued generosity. That family means respect, not just showing up when you need something. But I didn't type any of that. I just kept watching TV, enjoying my quiet Thanksgiving alone. Around noon, my son Marcus called. I answered that one. Dad, what the hell is going on? Lauren's been calling me all morning saying you sabotaged Thanksgiving. Did she tell you they uninvited me? Silence. Then, what? Last night, Lauren sent a group message saying I bring down the holiday vibe and I should skip Thanksgiving this year. Brad agreed, his mother agreed. They all laughed about it. More silence. Jesus, Dad, I didn't know. Lauren didn't mention that part. Of course she didn't. She just wants you to think I'm the villain. But I'm not doing anything wrong, Marcus. I simply stopped paying their car insurance. Insurance I've been covering for 3 years. Insurance they never thanked me for. Wait, you've been paying their insurance? For 3 years. Plus I co-signed their auto loan. Plus I've bailed them out financially dozens of times over the past decade. And my reward was being told I'm depressing. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. That's really shitty of them, Dad. I'm sorry. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just done enabling them. They wanted a peaceful, positive Thanksgiving without me. Now they have it. They'll just have to celebrate without the car I've been making possible. Lauren says you're the only one who can sign to release the vehicle from the impound lot. That's correct. I'm the primary on the insurance policy and the co-signer on the loan. The impound lot requires my authorization to release it. Are you going to give it? Eventually. After they figure out how to pay for insurance themselves, after they learn what it actually costs to maintain that lifestyle they take for granted. Dad, I support you, but be prepared. Lauren's not going to forgive you for this. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm establishing boundaries. After we hung up, I felt oddly calm. Marcus understood. He'd always been the more sensible of my 2 children, the one who'd moved away not out of rejection, but out of a healthy desire for independence. He called regularly, visited when he could, maintained an actual relationship instead of just showing up when he needed something. Around 2 p.m., there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Lauren and Brad standing on my porch, both looking furious and exhausted. Lauren's eyes were red from crying. Brad's jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles working even through the peephole. I debated not answering, but eventually I opened the door halfway, not inviting them in. Dad! Lauren's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. We need to talk. About what? About the car. About you canceling our insurance and getting it impounded. About you ruining Thanksgiving. I didn't ruin anything. I simply stopped paying for something you never appreciated. You ruined Thanksgiving when you uninvited me. We didn't uninvite you, Lauren insisted. We suggested. You told me I brought down the holiday vibe. You laughed about excluding me. You and Brad and his mother all agreed I was too depressing to have around. Don't try to rewrite what happened. Brad stepped forward. Look, Cy, we handled that badly. We admit it. We should have been more tactful. But what you did, canceling our insurance without warning, getting our car impounded on Thanksgiving, that's vindictive. That's cruel. Is it? I asked calmly. Oh, what would you call uninviting someone from Thanksgiving? What would you call laughing at the idea of your father eating alone on a holiday? Is that vindictive? Is that cruel? We said we were sorry. Lauren's voice was rising now, drawing attention from neighbors. No, you didn't. Brad sent a message saying he was sorry. Not because he meant it, but because he wanted his car back. That's not an apology, Lauren. That's manipulation. Fine. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. I was thoughtless and mean, and I shouldn't have uninvited you. There. Happy now? Will you please come sign for the car? I looked at my daughter, the child I'd raised mostly alone, the person I'd supported for 38 years, who had just apologized not because she understood what she'd done wrong, but because she needed something from me. No, I said. What? She looked stunned, as if the possibility of me refusing hadn't occurred to her. I'm not signing for the car today. You wanted a peaceful Thanksgiving without me? Enjoy it. The car can stay in impound until Monday. Monday? Dad, we can't go 3 days without a car. We have work. The kids have school. You have 2 functioning adults who should have been paying their own insurance all along. Figure it out. Brad's face turned red. You're punishing your grandchildren. You know that? Tyler and Emma are the ones who'll suffer because you're throwing a tantrum. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply declining to continue subsidizing adults who treat me with disrespect. If you're that concerned about your children's well-being, perhaps you should have thought about that before uninviting their grandfather from Thanksgiving. I can't believe this. Lauren's voice broke. I can't believe you're choosing to hurt us over one stupid text message. It wasn't one text message, Lauren. It was years of taking me for granted. Years of accepting my support without gratitude. Years of treating me like an ATM instead of a father. The text message was just the final straw. So that's it? You're just going to let us suffer? You're not suffering. You're inconvenienced. There's a difference. Suffering is being told you're not wanted at family holidays. Inconvenienced is having to figure out alternative transportation for a few days. You're really not going to help us? Lauren said it as a statement, not a question, finally understanding that tears and anger weren't going to change my mind. Not today, no. Maybe Monday we can discuss the terms under which I'll consider signing to release the vehicle. Terms? Brad's voice was incredulous. What terms? We'll discuss it Monday. Right now, you should get back to your peaceful, positive Thanksgiving. I'm sure Brad's parents are wondering where you are. I started to close the door. Lauren put her hand out to stop it. Dad, please. The kids are asking for you. They don't understand why Grandpa isn't at Thanksgiving. Emma made you a drawing. Tyler wanted to show you his new telescope, the one you got him for Christmas that he actually loves, by the way. He uses it every night. Please don't do this to them. That almost broke me. The mention of the kids, of Emma's drawing, of Tyler actually using and loving the telescope I'd given him. For a moment, I wavered, but then I remembered, you bring down the holiday vibe. Peaceful celebrations, finally. The laughing emojis. If you were so concerned about the kids, I said quietly, you should have thought about that before uninviting me. Goodbye, Lauren. I closed the door gently but firmly. Through it, I could hear Lauren crying, could hear Brad trying to comfort her while also clearly seething with anger. I walked back to my living room and sat in my recliner, feeling the weight of what I'd done settle over me. I wasn't happy, wasn't celebrating, just tired and sad and resolute. Sometimes love means saying no, sometimes it means letting people experience consequences instead of always saving them from their own choices, even when it hurts both of you. Act 4. The Monday Reckoning. Monday morning at 9 a.m., I drove to the impound lot on the industrial side of town. It was one of those places you hope you never have to visit. Chain-link fences topped with barbed wire, rows of impounded vehicles in various states of disrepair, a small office building that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1980s. Lauren and Brad were already there, waiting in the parking lot. I recognized them immediately, even though they were standing next to Patricia's car. She'd apparently driven them, either out of support or to witness the resolution firsthand. I parked my truck and got out slowly, taking my time, not hurrying despite their obvious impatience. Lauren looked terrible. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, her face pale, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She'd clearly not been sleeping well. Brad looked angry but exhausted, the kind of tired that comes from 3 days of stress and inconvenience and forced humility. Dad, Lauren said as I approached, her voice small and uncertain in a way I hadn't heard since she was a child. Lauren, Brad. I nodded to each of them. Patricia. Patricia gave me a look that was hard to read, part disapproval, part something else. Respect, maybe? Or at least acknowledgement that the situation was more complicated than she'd initially thought. Let's get this done, Brad said, his jaw tight. We've wasted enough time. Wasted enough time, as if the 3 days without their car had been wasted rather than educational. We walked into the impound office together. The place smelled like motor oil and stale coffee. A bored-looking clerk sat behind bulletproof glass, barely glancing up as we entered. Help you? We're here to release a vehicle, I said. 2021 Chevrolet Tahoe, impounded Thursday morning. The clerk typed something into her computer. That'll be $520 total, $385 impound fee plus $135 storage at $40 per day. Brad's face went pale. $520? That's the fee, sir. Impound and storage. Plus, you'll need proof of current insurance and the signature of the primary account holder on the original insurance policy. I'm the primary account holder, I said, and they have current insurance. Lauren pulled out her phone, showing a digital insurance card. We got a policy Saturday morning. Progressive, full coverage. The clerk reviewed it, nodded. That works. I'll need the primary account holder to sign the release form and payment for the fees. I'll cover the fees, I said, pulling out my credit card. Dad, you don't have to... Lauren started. I'll add it to what you owe me, I interrupted. Consider it part of your repayment. Brad's face flushed red. Repayment? What repayment? The $11,172 I spent on your insurance over 3 years, plus this $520, plus various other expenses over the years. We're going to set up a payment plan. You can't be serious, Brad said, his voice rising. You're actually going to make us pay you back? For helping your own daughter? I helped you for 3 years. You never thanked me, never paid me back, never even acknowledged what I was doing. Yes, I'm serious about repayment. Patricia spoke up then, her voice firm. Brad, be quiet. Sign whatever needs to be signed, and let's get the car. The clerk pushed papers through the slot in the bulletproof glass. I signed the release forms, showing my ID, confirming that, yes, I was authorizing the vehicle to be released to the registered owners now that they had valid insurance. My credit card was processed. $520 charge to my account for an impound that wouldn't have happened if they'd been paying their own insurance all along. Your vehicle is in Lot C, Space 47, the clerk said, handing over the paperwork and keys. Have a nice day. We walked out into the cold morning air. The impound lot stretched out before us, rows and rows of vehicles waiting to be claimed or sold at auction. Lot C is this way, Brad muttered, already walking ahead. Patricia followed him, leaving Lauren and me standing by my truck. Dad, Lauren said quietly, I really am sorry. Not just sorry about the car. Sorry for everything. For taking you for granted. For treating you like you were just there. Like you didn't matter. I looked at my daughter, 38 years old, finally seeming to understand something she should have learned decades ago. I'm sorry, too, I said. Sorry it took something this dramatic for you to see it. The insurance you were paying? I never really thought about where that money was coming from. It was like it was always taken care of, like it was automatic. I never connected it to you sitting down each month and making that payment. That's the problem, Lauren. You never thought about it. You never thought about what I was doing for you because it was invisible, easy to ignore. I know that now, and I'm going to do better. We got our own insurance. It's expensive, but we're covering it, and we want to pay you back. For everything. Can you afford that? I asked. Can you actually afford your rent, your car payment, your new insurance, plus a repayment plan to me? She was quiet for a moment. Honestly? No, not without making changes. Big changes. We're going to have to cut back on a lot of things. Brad's already talking about getting a second job. Good. Good? Yes, good. Because you've been living beyond your means for years, using my money to bridge the gap. Now you'll learn to live within your actual means. That's what adults do. And Brad and Patricia had found the Tahoe. Brad was walking around it, inspecting it for damage, like a mother hen checking on her chicks. The vehicle looked fine. Impound lots aren't in the business of damaging vehicles, they're in the business of storing them. Lauren wiped her eyes. What about Thanksgiving next year? Are you going to come? Do you want me to? Yes, I do, really. Not because of money or because I need something, because you're my dad and I miss you and I'm sorry I made you feel unwelcome. Then maybe I'll come. We'll see how the next year goes, how things actually change between us. I'll prove it to you. I promise. Things will be different. I hope so, Lauren, for both our sakes. Brad had gotten the Tahoe started and was pulling out of the lot. Patricia was waving us over, ready to leave. I should go, Lauren said. Thank you for signing for the car, for paying the impound fee. I know you didn't have to. I did it because despite everything, you're still my daughter. Oh, but Lauren, this doesn't mean we're back to how things were. It means we're starting something new, something built on actual respect instead of financial dependence. She nodded, tears streaming down her face now, and walked toward the Tahoe. I stood in that impound lot parking lot, watching my daughter climb into the vehicle I'd made possible through 3 years of silent support, and I felt the weight of what had just happened settle over me. I hadn't won, hadn't achieved any real victory. I'd just finally established the boundaries I should have set years ago, and whether those boundaries held, whether things actually changed, that remained to be seen. From Lauren, 4:37 p.m. Thanksgiving is ruined. Everyone's uncomfortable. Brad's parents are talking about leaving early. I hope you're proud of yourself. From Brad, 6:15 p.m. Just so you know, we're telling everyone what you did. How you sabotaged Thanksgiving, how you're holding our car hostage. Everyone's going to know what kind of person you really are. Let them tell everyone. Let them explain how they uninvited me first, how they never paid their own insurance, how they took advantage of my support for years without gratitude. From Patricia, 7:42 p.m. Cyrus, I've tried to stay out of this, but I have to say, what you're doing is elder abuse, using your age and their dependence on you to control them. I'm seriously considering reporting this to social services. Elder abuse. The irony was almost funny. I was the one being abused, financially and emotionally, but somehow I was the villain for finally standing up for myself. I didn't respond to any of the messages, just turned off my phone and went to bed early, exhausted from the emotional weight of the day. Friday morning, I woke up to 47 new messages and 23 missed calls. I scrolled through them, noting the progression from anger to desperation. From Lauren, Black Friday, 6:23 a.m. Dad, we really need the car today. It's Black Friday and I have to work retail. Please. From Brad, 7:45 a.m. Cy, seriously. Lauren's boss is going to fire her if she doesn't show up. Don't punish her job because you're mad at us. From Lauren, 8:37 a.m. I just got written up for being late. I had to take an Uber and it made me 20 minutes late. My boss says one more incident and I'm fired. Please, Dad, please let us get the car. Part of me felt guilty. Lauren losing her job would hurt everyone, especially the kids. But another part of me, the part that had finally had enough, knew that this was exactly the kind of consequence they needed to face. If Lauren lost her job because she couldn't get to work, maybe she'd finally understand what it meant to depend on something and lose it. From Brad, 11:02 a.m. Fine, you win. What do you want? Money? An apology? What are your terms for releasing the car? Finally. The question I'd been waiting for. I typed out a response. My terms are simple. 1, you start paying your own car insurance immediately. I'll help you sign to release the vehicle, but after that, you're on your own. 2, you pay back the $11,172 I've spent on your insurance over the past 3 years. We can set up a payment plan. 3, you acknowledge genuinely that you've been taking advantage of my generosity and that the way you treated me was wrong. Not just sorry you got caught, but actual understanding of what you did. His response came fast. $11,000? Sigh, we don't have that kind of money. We can barely afford our mortgage. Then you'll have to figure it out. Maybe downsize, maybe get second jobs, maybe stop buying $400 worth of groceries from Whole Foods and eat more modestly. That's what adults do when they can't afford their lifestyle. They adjust. From Lauren. Dad, this is cruel. You know we're struggling. You know we can barely make ends meet. You're not struggling, Lauren. You're living beyond your means. There's a difference, and part of the reason you've been able to maintain that lifestyle is because I've been subsidizing it. No more. From Brad. So you're really going to leave the car in impound all weekend? Over Thanksgiving weekend when Lauren needs it for work? You left me out of Thanksgiving dinner when I wanted to see my grandchildren? We all make choices. Now you get to live with yours. The messages continued throughout Friday, alternating between anger and bargaining. From Patricia. Cyrus, I'll pay to get the car released if you won't. I can't stand watching my daughter-in-law lose her job because of your pride. I responded to that one. Feel free, but I'm still the co-signer on the loan and the primary on the insurance. The impound lot won't release it without my signature, regardless of who pays the fees. From Lauren, Friday evening. Fine, you want acknowledgement? Here it is. We took advantage of you. We treated you like crap. We didn't appreciate what you did for us. We were wrong. There. Happy now? It sounded more angry than genuine, but it was a start. I'll come sign for the car Monday morning, I responded. But the other terms still stand. You pay your own insurance from now on, and we discuss a repayment plan for what I've spent. Sunday afternoon, Marcus called again. Dad, Lauren called me crying. She says you're being unreasonable. Did she tell you she apologized? She did. She said she acknowledged everything you wanted her to acknowledge. And I think you made your point. The car's been in impound for 3 days. They've spent over $200 on Ubers. Lauren's boss is threatening to fire her. Maybe it's time to let them have it back? I'm signing for it tomorrow morning. But Marcus, I need you to understand something. This isn't about punishment. This is about finally establishing boundaries. For years, I've let Lauren take advantage of me because I was afraid of losing her. Afraid she'd stop letting me see the grandkids if I didn't keep helping financially. But that's not a relationship. That's manipulation. And I'm done accepting it. I get it, Dad. And honestly, I think you're right. Lauren's always been like this. Mom used to say she was spoiled, and after Mom died, you spoiled her even more, trying to make up for what she'd lost. I know, and that's on me. But it ends now. Monday morning at 9 a.m., I drove to the impound lot. Lauren and Brad were already there, waiting in the parking lot. Lauren looked exhausted, like she'd been crying for days. Brad looked angry but resigned. I signed the paperwork to release the vehicle. Paid the $385 impound fee myself, though I made it clear that would be added to what they owed me. Thank you, Lauren said quietly as the attendant processed the release. You're welcome. Now about the insurance. We got our own policy, Brad interrupted. Saturday morning. It's $447 a month, which is fucking ridiculous, but we can't rely on you anymore. Clearly. Good. They were finally taking responsibility. And the repayment? We can do $200 a month, Lauren said. It'll take 5 years, but we can do it. $200 monthly would actually take closer to 6 years, but I nodded. That's acceptable. First payment due December 1st. Fine. We stood there awkwardly as the attendant brought the Tahoe around. Brad immediately went to inspect it for damage, clearly not trusting that it had been properly cared for during its 3-day impound. Lauren stood with me, not quite meeting my eyes. I really am sorry, Dad. Not just because of the car. I mean, I am sorry about that too. But I'm sorry for taking you for granted. For treating you like you were just there. Like you'd always help no matter what. I'm sorry too, I said. Sorry it took something this dramatic for you to understand what you were doing. Are we okay? Can we fix this? I thought about that question. Could we fix this? Could we rebuild a relationship that had been fundamentally broken? I don't know, I said honestly. That depends on whether things actually change going forward, whether you actually treat me like family instead of like a bank. We'll see. She nodded, tears starting again. The kids miss you. They asked about you all weekend. I miss them too. Maybe next weekend I can come visit, actually be invited instead of just tolerated. Yes, absolutely. Please come. Emma wants to give you that drawing. Tyler wants to show you how he's tracking constellations with his telescope. I'd like that. Brad pulled up in the Tahoe, window rolled down. We good here? His tone suggested we were anything but good, but he was willing to pretend for Lauren's sake. We're good, I said. They drove away, and I stood in that impound lot parking lot feeling the weight of the past 4 days settle over me. I hadn't won anything, hadn't achieved any real victory. I just finally stood up for myself in the only way that would make them understand consequences. Epilogue, the lessons learned. It's been 6 months since that Thanksgiving. Lauren and Brad have made every $200 payment on time. I'll give them that. They're covering their own insurance, their own repairs, their own everything. Our relationship is different now. Not better, exactly. Not worse either. Just realer. More honest. Lauren doesn't call unless she actually wants to talk. Not because she needs something. When we get together, it's genuine rather than obligatory. I see Tyler and Emma regularly now. Emma did give me that drawing. It's on my refrigerator now. A picture of our family holding hands with I love Grandpa written in crayon at the bottom. Tyler shows me his constellation charts, and we talk about astronomy. They're good kids. I'm glad I didn't lose them in all of this. Brad and I maintain a careful distance. He's polite now, respectful even. But there's a coldness there that probably won't ever go away. He knows I have power over them. I'm still the co-signer on that auto loan. And he resents it even as he benefits from it. Last week, Lauren called and asked if I wanted to come to Thanksgiving this year. A real invitation this time, she said. No vibe concerns. We want you there. I said yes, but I also made it clear that if I ever felt unwelcome again, if I ever got the sense that I was being tolerated rather than included, I wouldn't make a scene. I'd just leave. And they'd have to live with that choice. I don't think I'll ever get back the $70,000 I spent over the years. The car insurance repayment will take 6 years, and that's only a fraction of what I've given. But I'm not looking for financial reimbursement. I'm looking for respect, for acknowledgement that I matter beyond what I can provide. Sometimes I wonder if I handled it all wrong, if there was a better way to teach that lesson without causing so much pain on both sides. But then I remember that text message, those laughing emojis, the casual cruelty of being told I bring down the holiday vibe, and I know I did the only thing that would actually work. Words wouldn't have changed anything. Gentle conversations wouldn't have made a difference. Sometimes the only teacher that works is consequences. The tow truck that took their SUV on Thanksgiving morning taught them more about value and gratitude than I ever could with words. And while it cost both of us something, cost them their pride and convenience, cost me some of the relationship I'd hoped to have, it also gave us something better. Honesty. I'm not the walking wallet anymore. I'm not the depressing father who gets tolerated when convenient. I'm just Cyrus, taking up space, maintaining boundaries, demanding respect. And if that brings down the vibe sometimes, well, at least it's a real vibe instead of a fake one.